All right, guys. I'm Colleen Wood with the Wood team over at Hometown Lenders. And today we are talking about all things hiring an assistant for a realtor to be able to help you grow your business, scale your business. It's incredibly important to do that. So we're going to start out with talking about the reasons why that we do it. So number one, Corinne, can you see my screen?
Yep, I can.
Okay, awesome. All right. Okay, so most people are familiar with Pareto's principle. It turns out that 80% of the time that we spend only earns us about 20% of the money that we make, which is mind-boggling. And 20% of the time that you actually spend is going to earn you 80% of your money. So the question is, how do we change what we're doing? How do we change how we're investing our time to make sure that we're only spending time doing tasks that are our highest and best use? So doing some math, I just threw together just some basic numbers. So say you made $500,000 last year. 80% of that money came from doing 20% of your work, your best work, your highest and best use work, or $400,000 of that $500,000. 20% of that money came from 80% of your work, your busy work, which is about $100,000. So say you work 40 hours a week. We know that's not the case, but we'll just say, just for numbers' sake, that you only work 40 hours a week. 8 hours were spent doing your best work at $961 an hour, and 32 hours was spent doing your busy work at $60 an hour. So what if you doubled that work on the hours on your best work? So 16 hours is your best work. Again, 16 hours at $961 plus 24 hours at $60, you're going to earn $875,000 in a year. Not a bad pay raise. Jumping into 24 hours of the week at your best work. Again, same math, you're going to earn $1.25 million compared to $500,000 by just changing the amount of hours that you're doing your best work. If you were to jump that to 32 hours at your best work, same math, your income would jump to $1.6 million. So a massive amount of money that we're leaving on the table by only doing the things that, trying to do everything, which is our best work plus our busy work, knowing that our busy work takes up the majority of our time. And the best work, the concentrated work, the really creative, doing customer service, building relationships, the stuff that really where the money is at, the yummy stuff, only spending a very small amount of time doing that in our day-to-day work. But that's all fine and great. Everybody understands that concept. Everybody gets that concept, right? We've not the first time that we've heard that. But the pushback that we get is, yeah, that's fine, but I can't just not do the busy work. I can't just not do these menial tasks that are a part of doing my job. I can't just step away from that. It has to be done by someone. That's a great question. Who's going to do it? All the work that you do is important work. You're not here and listening to this webinar if you don't already have a successful real estate business. You've already figured out what tasks are the meaningful tasks, what are the tasks that are complete wastes of time. And so you already know, are already doing only the important things, but some of those tasks are not as important and are not your best work. The rest of it should be done by someone, just not you. So here's my list of 184 things that a realtor does for their clients, which is a massive amount of work that you guys do. You guys earn every dollar that you make by doing a huge amount of work. And a lot of it is just busy work. A lot of it, things like, we'll just point some out, verifying a legal description, researching property's current use and zoning, offering a professional pricing strategy based on interpretation of current market conditions. That would definitely be in your highest and best use. That would be a high level type of task. That takes you, the professional, in order to be able to get that done. But a lot of these things are going to be busy work, confirming current public schools and explaining their impact on the market value. Oh my gosh, that's something that somebody else could do. Make a copy of house plans, measure interior room sizes if you needed to do that. Research and verify city sewer septic tank systems. Have an extra key made for the lockbox. Oh my gosh, not a good use of your time. I mean, here she is, she's rocking it, she's killing it. She's at the hardware store making a key. But they got to get done. Order just listed labels and reports. Mail just listed notices to all neighborhood residents. All of these things are very, very important things, but again, don't need to be done by you. So we're not going to go all the way through all of these things. I sent you guys a list, this list. If you need this list, I'm happy to share it with you. But this is a list of all the things that you do. And here you are trying to do all of these things, not just for one customer, but everyone that is in your pipeline. It's huge. And a lot of the times you're working with clients for years at a time. So you're helping them and doing these things and redoing them and redoing them and redoing them, sometimes multiple offers, and maybe multiple listings that you're helping them with. So what activities do make you the most money? That's a huge part of it, is that we have to identify what are the activities that have a direct connection to the money that we make. What is your best work versus your busy work? Now, a measure that I have for you guys that I think is a real hard line when it comes to best work versus busy work is everything that happens before a contract is signed, before a person is under contract on a property or on the listing side, before there's an accepted offer. I would say all of that on the front side, everything that gets you to the contract, gets you an accepted contract, would be considered your best work. Everything afterwards would be considered the busy work, or it could be something that could be done by someone else. It's a very easy line to be able to define what you're going to do versus what somebody else is going to do. Would you agree that that's a pretty good line in the sand? Okay, good. Okay, so the way we manage this is we take the list of all the tasks that we do, and I do the same thing. Take the list of all the tasks that we do, and you're going to label the letter A for all the things that happen before the contract. Then you're going to label B for all the things that happen after the contract. You're going to separate those into 2 columns, and you have just created the job description for your next hire. Okay, label A is going to be what you do. Here you are, but better, doing more hours, doing the best activities for you to be doing. Whereas label B is your new hire's job description and training list, because we know they're not going to come to us pre-trained. Okay. So you do only your best work and your new assistant does your busy work. That is humongous progress. So you're like, I have so many questions. That's fine. But where do we even begin with that? So number one, I don't have time to train. Where do I start? So the first question that I pose to you is, don't you think the very best education for someone getting into real estate is to work for someone else as an assistant? Number one, yes. Learn how to do things. My recommendation on training on things is you have this whole list of tasks that they are eventually going to be responsible for doing eventually. I take that whole list and I take a few of them and I highlight them and I say, these are the things we're going to train on first. And now there is a training period. Training does not last for the rest of forever. There is a training period where we focus. We're going to learn these 3 to 5 things. And then You're going to have about a week to 2 weeks to be able to ask me unlimited questions about how things are, if you're having any struggles. And then after that point in time, it is now your responsibility. I'm handing it off. So I have a list, I highlight what I'm going to train. And then once that time period, that training time period is gone, it puts a check mark next to it and we get new training things. So we walk our way through the training list and bit by bit, we start assigning all of these tasks. Now, obviously, until somebody is trained on it and has checked off that they're good to go, we're ready to move forward on that, all of those tasks are going to stay in your bucket. You're going to continue to do those things because those things are important things to do. But they are going to be moving over piece by piece, and I call it spoon feeding. We spoon feed these people into training them how to do things. But while they're learning, while they're training, allow them to shadow you, allow them to hear you on the phone, allow them to see how you do business, how you deliver the message. I sat across the hallway from my teacher for 7 years, learning how to do this business. And when I went out on my own, I had never sold a loan on my own ever. I had always had her. She had always done all the selling, and I did everything beyond that. But she had done all the selling. So at that point, when I sat down to do my very first consultation, it was because of the education that I had, all of the years of hearing her do her presentation, answer questions, help people feel at ease. I got that just from listening. And that's the gift that somebody is going to receive, is just being able to shadow you and learn how to do things. So again, how do we train? You spoon feed. You don't do everything all at once. A little at a time, a little at a time. And if you're going to go on vacation, or if it's the holidays, or if there's overwhelm, you just pause and they stay with the list of things that they already know how to do. And then when we're back, okay, we're going to pick 5 more things. We're going to add 5 more things to your list. Okay, where do I find this person? And I'm going to toggle around to some of my slides because I wanted you to see this. This is a company that I use. It's called Wise Hire. This is not a plug for Wise Hire. This is just the actual company that I use. It's wisehire.com. I love this company because it is going to post your job description to, I think it's 12 different job boards. It allows me to put sorting things to it. It makes them answer all the questions that are specific to my job requirements. Like, do they have basic skills with Outlook and Canva? Or are they licensed as a loan officer? Have they ever worked in lending before? These over here on the far left, mortgage software experience, those were things that were important to me. You can set all of that up through this, and it is very simple. The other thing that I love that's a part of my hiring, every single time I hire somebody, I want to see a DISC profile. And so this right here, the DISC personality fit, you'll see that it has a ranking that they are an average DISC personality fit for the characteristics that I want to see. And then the next one, this Kimberly Howard, she was average, but then Samantha was very good. And then it says the qualifications that they have. And the system will actually allow us to, they'll give recommendations as to who meets the majority of the qualification requirements that we are wanting most out of all the people. And I filter through, I don't know that this will say, oh, there's 998 candidates that we got in about 2 weeks. And so this allows me, because that's very overwhelming. This allows me to sort real quick who has applied, who's actually qualified, who's pending, and who's interviewing. And I can move these along in here, and we can figure out, we can sort them very methodically without shuffling through papers and trying to read everything. And for me, when I'm hiring somebody, they have to follow all the steps, and I give them a lot of steps. I want to make sure that they can follow direction and that they can do what they're asked to do. So I'll ask them to take a DISC profile test and send it to me in a PDF format to this email that's different than anything else. Like, I want to know that they are so detailed because of the type of work that we do. So Disc or Wise Hire is where I find them. It's very inexpensive. You can post for 1 month at a time, or you can always be hunting for people. I typically, when I go for where I'm hiring a lot, I'll just leave my job postings out there and just kind of filter through. And if I see somebody amazing I want to talk to, then great. If I don't, I just don't reach out. No big deal. But if I'm really hunting, then, I'll really, really focus on that. How do I know that they are the right fit? That's a great question. And then circling all the way down to the bottom, what if they want to go out on their own and they're going to leave me? And I'm going to show you how you're going to find out whether or not they will. So, next screen. This is a disc profile. And you can find disc profiles at discprofile.com. There's lots of different places out there. I don't know if you've spent a lot of time on disc profiles. Not going to do a super deep dive into this, but I'm going to say super high level. On a disc profile, you want to see certain characteristics for certain types of people. This is a great disc profile for an assistant. D is your level of, are they daring? Are all the D words? Are they dominating? Are they are they really, what it is for D is, are they a leader? Are they a leader? And I'm going to show you on the next one. I'm going to show you what we look like. But you want, on an assistant, you want somebody that's got a little bit of D, but you don't want somebody that has a very, very high level of D. And the reason why is Ds can't help themselves. They are leaders. And if they're a better leader than you are, they will leave. They will. And you will have people that go you will just crash heads. You have to have somebody who can take direction and is a good follower, that's happy getting in line, taking dictation from you. Because the last thing you need in your world is to have somebody that's going to argue with you and you're going to have confrontation with. The I is how much they like people. This is a people business. They have to like people. And what's hilarious is I've had a lot of my employees who don't like people, but the gray bar, so their I will be very low, but the gray bar is how you actually show up at work. So the gray bar will be very high and the yellow bar will be very low. So it's like they don't actually like people, but they fake it at work. I'm cool with that too. As long as you can be nice to people. I'm an introvert too at home. I'm not out partying all the time. Like, I love being home. And but I like people. So S, this is a very strong characteristic that we want in an assistant. S is for systems and processes. We want to be able to give an assistant a checklist and know that they are going to check every box. I am not a huge systems person. I am a salesperson. You might not be a huge systems person. I am super high D, super high I, and my S and C are a little bit on the lower side. But in an assistant, you want somebody who's going to make sure that you're like going to follow you around and be like, oh, Corinne, we didn't do that one thing. Did you still want to do that thing? Not that they're going to, berate you and beat you up because they have too much D, but they're going to make sure that we're going to stay to our process, which is going to help you to iron out your process and get it better. So that's going to be a good thing. So you're going to be stronger together than you are separate. C, this is their level of risk. And this is really, really important, especially in sales things. You and I have a very low level of risk concern. So we're not very cautious people. We can like see an opportunity and jump ship like tomorrow. That's just who we are. So if you have someone who has a very low level of C, they will jump ship. Somebody will offer them 50 cents more an hour and they will leave you. You want somebody that has a pretty good level of C. In our industry, I don't like to see somebody that has a 90 level of C, because I want somebody that can think outside the box, somebody that can see different ways to get around things. But that's also what I'm really good at too. So a higher level of C means more staying power on your team. So always, always pay attention to that. Now, just for a comparison, I love looking at this stuff. This is more of a salesperson. Okay. I have a 99D and a 99I. So I am a leader. I'm a leader. That's who I am. I love people. I love doing that stuff. My S, I was trying to find my disc profile. This is somebody else that I hired a long time ago. Oops. But I see, their systems was pretty good. But this is, and then their C is on the lower side. Again, salespeople, we are just different animals. You can see a super high D, a super high I, and then a very low S and C, and have that be normal. So the people that we hire are actually the opposite, right? So that's really important to do. And you can find discprofile.com. And I do disc profiles for all of my employees. I keep them on file. We talk about it. When you get your disc profile, they'll have a whole write-up about it, and you can learn about it too. You should do your own disc profile to see and compare and understand more about yourselves. But I love them, and I hire off the disc. I have made the mistake of hiring people that had the same amount of D as I did, and it was horrible, horrible, horrible. Okay. How do I pay them? Well, you are paying yourself $60 an hour to do the busy work tasks. I don't think they're worth $60 an hour, especially if they're brand new, especially if they're not licensed, but probably better pay them better than McDonald's. You know, I mean, something of that's going to bring in a quality person. A lot of times, we're in sales. We get paid commission when we do business. Most of your assistants are not going to be able to live on that kind of income freshly getting started. So you might need to pay them like a small base and then set up some sort of a commission structure that when you get paid, they're going to get paid too. And I recommend commission because we want our people to be excited about doing business. When the phone rings, I want them to get excited. I don't want them to roll their eyes and be like, ugh, another person. That's not what we want. We want them to be thrilled. We want them to help people quickly. So I recommend commission. I do. And even if it's small, I've been really surprised that how little of commission gets people excited. We're paid on basis points. So like a 1 basis point is like 0.01% of our loan amount, so it's not a ton of money, but it's definitely something to consider. So, you could have to do your own math as to what you would be willing to give up. And then of course, if they get licensed and start helping you with licensed activities, then of course, you would think that they would get a pay bump. I definitely encourage people to get licensed. And that can be a restriction on your hiring to say you must get licensed within the first 12 months, 6 months, whatever you think is the right thing to do. I believe that the more people are licensed, the more protected we are. Just in case, like all of my people are licensed, just in case somebody says, hey, what are rates today? And they happen to say, oh, we're at 6.5%. That's a licensed activity. So I know you guys have to have licensure in order to let people into properties and access a lot of the things that you guys do. Gosh, letting somebody into a property, an inspector into a property or an appraiser into a property, and you don't have to do that. That's going to be a huge lift of time off your hands. A big thing that I hear people come back with, my people only want to talk to me. No, they don't. That is not true. It's not true. People are not thinking about you. They are thinking about themselves. They're thinking about the shortest distance between where they are right now and where they want to be, and how do they get there the fastest. And if they have to wait for you because you're busy doing other things, you're doing listing appointments, you're showing property, you're doing your thing, but you have somebody that needs one little thing, or they need they're reviewing their inspection report or something and they want eyes on it. Maybe they need something like that. The longer that they have to wait, the longer the amount of time is that it's going to take for them to get to there, from here to there. So if there is somebody else that they can talk to get their question answered, then they're going to be happier. That's just the way it is. Now, is it going to take time for your people to learn how to answer the questions? Yes, which is why I talk on speakerphone all the time. And it used to drive people crazy. They hated that I had every one of my phone calls on speakerphone, and I'm a loud talker when I'm on the phone. And I had somebody make a comment or roll their eyes at one point, and I just said to them, "Yep, it's a learning experience. You should be taking notes." And that's the truth. Because say we go back to that example, reviewing your inspection report. There's a way to handle that. There's a way. I mean, we're not inspectors. We're not engineers. We can't just go into an inspection report and review, not the right word. Try to do a rebuttal against what the inspector's saying. I mean, we're not. We can insert our personal opinion, but we're not the expert on inspection items. We're not. So they need to know how to respond to people with certain different kinds of questions, because we get asked the same questions all the time, over and over and over again. So once they know what the canned answer is to most of our questions, they can be pretty darn good and take a lot of pressure off of you. Can they be assigned some of your personal tasks? Yes, 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 yes. If you need to get bread, milk, and eggs from the grocery store and you're busy for the day, make sure that your assistant is cool with doing anything you ask them to do. And that's what I always put on the job description list as well, is any other assigned tasks, because none of us are above doing anything. I mean, we all take out the garbage, and so nobody's above doing anything. So if I ask somebody to do something I don't ever want to hear, if that's not on my job list, I don't care. I asked you to do it. So if I need bread, milk, and eggs and I'm super busy, I can say to my assistant, "Hey, I need bread, milk, and eggs. Can you pop over to the store and get that for me?" Don't be afraid to do that, because we're trying to not only rock our work world, we're trying to be excellent parents, excellent spouses, excellent friends. And if you have an assistant go pick up a birthday gift for a girlfriend, good for you. That's a great thing to do. Okay. So again, what if they want to go out on their own and leave me? Don't hire the very best salesperson that you can find. I see that a lot when people hire assistants, is they hire like their mirror. They hire their themselves. If you were themselves, I worked for somebody and I left, and I was there for a long time, but I eventually left. And so number one, we don't want to put a cap on somebody. I never want to put a cap on somebody's growth and say that they can't ever leave me, but I want to hire somebody that's going to invest into me like I've invested into them. And so, that comes with a contract. If you want to do a contract, I see that happen where you have a retention contract. And I also just see, making sure that you're hiring the right people. We just see like people like us and we're like, oh, they're going to be awesome. Yeah, they're going to be awesome being exactly like you. They're going to be your competition one day. And I have a lot of competition out there that I've created, and it's part of it. And all you can do is smile and say that I helped that person be able to grow in this career and be able to have a job that they wouldn't have had if I didn't do that. So there's just different ways to look at that, but it is a little frustrating. Okay. All righty. That was a lot of information. Okay. I'm gonna jump back here. And then I am going to open the floor for any questions. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh boy, lots of questions.
Good.
So when you hire your people, if they are licensed and even though they're assisting, are they a W-2 employee or do you 1099 your employees?
That's a great question. In our side of the world, we have to be a W-2 employee.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
every one of them is W-2. So I pay all their benefits, I pay all their insurances and the self-employment taxes.
Gotcha.
I recommend for you guys that, well, having an employee can be very helpful for you as a self-employed person. So I recommend that you talk to your CPA as how best to do that. Paying employment taxes can be kind of a thing. So have them compare, like maybe the first employee is just a 1099. That makes it pretty easy. But then maybe if you get more than one employee, you might want to actually, have W-2 employees.
Okay.
So it just really depends. I would ask your CPA.
Okay, perfect. That's
Mhm.
makes sense.
Mhm.
For the people that work for you, I mean, what is I guess for the people that you've seen leave, what is the typical like average time that they usually stay with you, or what is your turnover rate on for people in a more assistant position? Is that a
That's a
high
great
turnover
question.
rate or
Yeah, that's a great question. So I really, really believed in trying to give specifically women, not really, I mean, I wasn't categorizing, but I had a very strong heart for women coming into this business because I was invested in and given this career and it changed my life. And so I really wanted to duplicate that as many times over as I could. I have learned that bringing somebody in at entry level, they don't have as much stick-to-itiveness as somebody who might have been in the industry already for a while and has already decided they like the industry.
sure.
This is a very emotional, high stress industry. Real estate in general is very high stress. And I learned that there was some significant attrition with people that just couldn't handle the pressure, or just the amount of changes, the direction changes that we do in a given day. They just couldn't handle it. So I would say at minimum that they stayed with me a year. That the majority of the young people that I hired, but the ones that were great hires have been with me 3 and 4 years at this point.
Okay, wonderful.
Mhm.
And then in terms of like I'm thinking about for me specifically, uh, as of right now, I would probably need to hire someone more on a part-time basis, which I know then
Yes.
excludes potentially really great candidates. So I'm just curious if you've had any experience in hiring for part-time positions versus full-time.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So sometimes, when we're looking at this, we can look back at our budget and say, I can only afford to hire someone for 8 hours a week at $15 an hour. And that's what your budget allows for. Hire them anyways. There
Okay.
is an excellent candidate out there that is wanting for exactly that. Very part-time, but they come in and like my guru, my mentor, I'm thinking of his story. His first person that he hired, her name was Janine, and he hired her for 8 hours a week, and it might have even been for 4. And his job was to, while Janine was there, she was going to answer the phone for him so that he could make outbound phone calls. And she showed up and he asked her, Janine, why are you here? Because she was making minimum wage at the time. And this was probably 20 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, why are you even here? And she said, well, you're going to get more business by making those 4 hours of phone calls, right? And he says, yes, that's what my expectation is. And she said, okay, so when you get more business, will I get more hours? Yes, yes, you will. And so when we get more, even more business, will you give me even more hours and maybe even a pay raise? Yes, absolutely. Well, then I'm willing to do this with you. And she stayed with him for over a decade,
Wow.
actually ended up retiring. So there is a person. Just be
Okay.
very, very true as to what your goals are. Part of being a leader is selling the vision, selling the dream, and getting people in the boat with you to say, we're not there yet, but this is where we're going, and being able to declare what that dream is on a regular basis and have them know how they can take part in that dream and what it looks like for them. Because that was something for me, was like, I started working for Cindy at minimum wage. And the highest wage I ever made for her after working, I was there, a licensed loan officer, I was making $16 an hour, highest wage. But she portrayed the vision for me and said, you can take this all the way to the end if you want to. You can take this knowledge and take it all the way to the end. And I was willing to stay there and to do that, have a lower paying job in order to learn. And so paint the vision, tell them what it is. And when we get to this amount of volume, I'm going to increase you to more part-time, maybe, 25 hours a week instead of 20 hours a week.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
totally normal. And you're going to
Okay.
find some great people that can only have 20 hours in the week to help you.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
That was my fear, is that maybe the ask for only 20 hours would potentially reduce I don't want to say the quality of the candidate, but would maybe, obviously shorten the pool that I would get to choose from, which therefore could maybe affect the quality. But no, that makes sense.
Something that I've learned in doing the podcast that I've been doing, our success real estate podcast, especially with the women, is that a lot of them took a very long hiatus to have babies and raise their families and get them going in school, sometimes like 10, 15 years. And then they came back in the job world. And you and I know that you are not a hireable employee. You are like an entry-level employee if you have not been in the job market for 15 years. But they knew that they wanted to be in real estate and they didn't know where to start. That is the perfect person. Somebody who is hungry, who is just coming out of, and maybe their kids are in daycare for 20 hours of the week, and then they can only work from 10 to 2 or something like that. That is a perfect candidate for you. And just really talk with them about, what are your goals? What are your dreams? Where do you want to go? Are you interested in real estate? Does this excite you? Do you know that you can create a massive career with me if we can just hitch our wagons together? I already have an existing book of business. One of the things that I always think is amazing to me as well is how many new agents go out on their own. On the first day, they go out on their own and they have never even owned a home. They've never had a mortgage, but by golly, today's the day I'm going to be a realtor. I think that is the worst thing that they can do. Cuts their own throat. And so even if somebody comes in and it is their plan to be a realtor out on their own someday, that's fine. Definitely make them sign a contract. They have to have a retention contract for 1 year, 2 years, whatever you think it is. And they have to hit some certain things, like you have to be through your training list, like within the first 3 months or whatever it is. And give somebody an opportunity to grow, and you will benefit. When you see how much more money you can make when you can focus on what you're supposed to be doing, you very quickly move them out of part-time.
Okay. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you. I think those were really all the questions that I have, but I know where to find you if I think of more. So
yeah, it's really fun and exciting. I just gave you some links here.
thank you.
If you have anything like that, I'm here to help. I am really, really good at hiring people. I'm really, really good at building out teams. I'm also good at compressing teams if I need to. I can blow them out and break them down as well as needed, whatever is the right thing to do. And something that you'll find too is that you might become, one, and then you might become two, and then pretty soon that second person gets completely overloaded, and then you've got to divide their tasks into another person. And so I always tell them, like, I'm looking for the next person that's going to help you when you get too busy. I'm going to hire somebody that's going to be your assistant. And, it just kind of breaks it on down, gets people very excited. So it can just keep growing. Yeah.
Well, thank
Okay.
you. That
You're
was
so
very,
welcome.
very
Thanks for
helpful.
joining me.
Absolutely.
This was fun.
We'll see you in person soon.
Soon. I hope so.
Yeah.
That'd be great. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Corinne.
Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.